John 20:14.
Even Mary Magdalene, who loved him in John's account, does not recognize him. All of these are ways of saying that there is something very different from the Jesus they knew during his historical life and ministry.
Jesus then called Mary by name. Hearing his voice, she recognized her teacher and beloved friend. Overcome by emotion, she reached forward to embrace him, but Jesus gently rebuked her.
Jesus said to her, "Do not touch me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father." John 20:17.
If you look at it in the Greek, it's in the imperfect tense, and it doesn't say, "Don't touch me." It says, "Don't keep hanging on to me. Don't keep holding on to me." And what John is trying to say in telling the story is that Jesus is saying, you can't cling to this experience. I'm present in a new way. I'm present in the community. I'm present through the Spirit. I'm in your hearts. I'm in your midst.
The risen Christ gave Mary Magdalene a unique responsibility.
Go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, I have seen the Lord. And she told them that he had said these things to her. John 20:17.
This is the last time that Mary Magdalene appears in the Bible. But because Jesus gave her authority to announce his resurrection to the apostles, Mary gained a new title among early Christians.
Mary Magdalene has been called the Apostle of the Apostles because she fits to a T what it means to have been an apostle. An apostle is someone who has seen the risen Lord and who has been sent as an apostolic witness to his resurrection.
In the years after the death and resurrection of Jesus, some say Mary Magdalene's life took a little-known and unanticipated turn. She traveled to unexpected far corners of the ancient world in her special role as apostle and evangelist. According to the Bible, Mary Magdalene had watched as Jesus died on the cross, and soon after she had encountered the risen Christ. He had entrusted her with the task of spreading the good news of his resurrection. The early Christian Gospels, recently rediscovered in Egypt, reveal that the community of Jesus' followers was discouraged and frightened after the death of their Lord. The men feared that if they publicly preached the teachings of their executed leader, Roman authorities would kill them. It was Mary Magdalene who inspired the apostles and kept the Jesus movement alive.
Mary Magdalene leads a life of leadership. She becomes a leader. She becomes an encourager of the discouraged and fearful apostles in several instances. She speaks boldly. She explains visionary experiences that she had had and secret teachings that were given only to her.
Again, some of the men became jealous and resentful of her. Peter was her main detractor.
The Gospel of Mary clearly portrays Mary Magdalene as a leader, not only among the other disciples, but of the other disciples. The Gospel itself has this very intriguing scene in which Peter challenges Mary and says, surely that the Savior would not have told her things that he didn't tell to us. Surely he would not have loved a woman more than us. And Levi responds, basically, yes, he would, and he did.
Mary Magdalene's role in the church began an argument that has remained passionate from that time to this.
So from the very first century, from the very beginnings, from the earliest literature of the Christian movement, we see women functioning as leaders, and we see that leadership opposed. This is true for every century of the history of Christianity since, including our own.
The ancient papyrus texts do not reveal Mary Magdalene's ultimate fate. But the golden legend a medieval collection of stories about the lives of saints, reports that Mary stayed to preach in her homeland for 14 years. The story continues that she then traveled halfway across the ancient world to Marseille, a port city in what would later be the Provence region of France. Though the Golden Legend was written more than 1,200 years after Mary's death, there is other evidence that supports her presence in France. A church in the French town of Vézelay maintains that it possesses her earthly remains. This claim was taken seriously by thousands of medieval pilgrims who flocked there to touch Mary's tomb and pray to her for miracles.
A legend was created to explain how she made it to Provence, and that legend stated that after the crucifixion of Christ, after his ascension, his disciples and apostles were persecuted, Mary Magdalene among them. She and her family and friends were put into a rudderless boat and set adrift at sea. Providentially, they washed up in Provence.
When the castaways finally made it to shore, no one would take them into their home.